I think there's a very strong case for regulation because of the market-led nature of housing provision and allocation in Australia.
How could the approach taken in New South Wales be applied here in Victoria?
So there's requirements for design verification at key steps in the planning and building regulatory approval process that, in a way, protect and provide some oversight of design through the process. And that, I think, is something that hasn't been taken up as well in other jurisdictions.
Can you tell me what part of our terms of reference is about the current apartment living standards?
Yeah.
What do you think they're like?
A lot of the dwellings created don't face the street, but face the side of the property on which the apartment sits, and that potentially has some significant implications if the separation between buildings is not sufficient, and there may be noise and privacy and overlooking poor amenity.
I'd be interested to know if you've done some work on, I guess, demographics and demographic change of people who sort of the demand for apartments.
So when we're talking about demand for something, I mean, there's demand to actually own and live in the house, but then there's also, particularly with apartments, demand from investors to purchase an apartment as an investment.
And they're going to want a different class.
And there's also other drivers too, obviously, in the investor in the development process, the equity investor in that process. I mean, that's another market that is operating there as well.
So how do we actually pitch it to those owner investors that we could actually retrofit to improve their long-term income?
There's often a very dispersed ownership within a building, and where that's a very large building with a very large number of apartments, that creates a lot of complexity then in terms of how that kind of retrofit can be achieved.
How do we as regulators provide an environment that provides for maximum innovation but also is prescriptive in the areas it needs to be?
The New South Wales system sought to address that was by having a set of design principles that are fairly broad, recognising that those principles are what you're trying to achieve. How do you get from a set of principles that don't relate
particularly in an
specifically
environment,
to a building
in a value management environment where everyone's pushing every rule to the nth degree at every step of the process?
That's right.
You can have a principle like better acoustic performance. Without being prescriptive, how do you actually determine whether they've delivered against a principle that's broad?
So hence that tension sits there all, and I don't think that's ultimately resolvable. I think we have to sort of find the way to actually work with the tension. I think that's and I think that's okay.